All right, guys, good morning. It is Wednesday. We're here. Yeah, we got some news dropping today. Specifically, we got Tesla, Nvidia, Amazon, Micron, Oracle up. Adobe on the downside. Cisco, SYSCO, so not CISCO, but SYSCO. Small declines. Alibaba is up on a major AI cloud investment. You can see Alibaba right here, up to 178.30s as we speak. So that's pretty good. Gold rebounding a little bit here. Yeah. Gold is up, or gold's down, I mean. Alibaba is up. Yesterday, Powell gave remarks in Providence. He cautioned the economic outlook is darkening and emphasized elevated equity valuations, which kind of scared people. But NASDAQ's still up there. It's at 24.9. It's basically right around where we were. I mean, we've trended up this morning after pulling back yesterday towards the end of the day. And now we are back up some. So we basically filled the gap on the upside this morning. Jerome Powell framed recent rate cuts as risk management, not a pivot to aggressive easing necessarily, and emphasized direction will remain data dependent. Again, he did say equity prices were, quote, fairly highly valued. We also had Alberto Musalem earlier note that policy rate is modestly restrictive, warns of downside risk to the labor market, anticipate inflation gradually drifting towards target over time. There's a looming risk of a government shutdown right now, making the rounds, adding to uncertainty. But again, Powell's remarks were kind of data dependent. Later this week, we got GDP and PCE inflation. I'm already up a couple hundred today. Longing gold, but we did lose a little bit yesterday too, so kind of flat to be honest. But if you want to see this gold trade that we're in right now, here it is. We had 5, maybe more contracts. We ended up scaling out. We only have 1 left. We're just kind of letting it continue to bounce. I'll probably just hold this break even now. Set a stop loss for close to break even. And then cover it. Let me catch up on the chat. What's up? What's up? Paul, Jason, Martin, Caesar, Christoph, E, Marco, Beavis, Rokas, Brian, Fred, Tiff, Brad, B, Brian, Michael, Mitt, Way, Ray, what's up, guys? Do you think that any shock event will happen anytime soon? PCE inflation could shock markets. No, Powell doesn't speak today. PCE inflation could scare markets. We'll see. If PCE inflation comes in low, it'll probably be good for markets. If PCE inflation comes in high on Friday, that might freak markets out. Because then we're looking stagflation, looking like a stagflation situation a little bit more, and that's going to scare people away, because it's going to mean we might not have as many cuts as we want. People are speculating 25, 25, 25. That's what I think as well. But I don't know. PC's Friday. Powell spoke yesterday. Yeah, Jerome Powell spoke yesterday. He does not speak today. Yeah, the only Fed speakers we got for the rest of this week are we got Bowman speaking tomorrow at 10 a.m. And then she speaks Friday at 1 p.m. But it's not. We don't really have Powell. I mean, Powell just spoke yesterday at 12:35. We streamed it live. But I'm not really seeing. So we did have NBA 30-year mortgage rates show up. Better than last time again. They showed up at 6.34% for a 30-year NBA mortgage. I don't know what to do with this last position here. Part of me, the greedy part, wants to just take profit. But we already up $180+ today. Net, like, locked in. And so we can hold this break even and be relatively fine. The OCD part of me wants 200. We need $20. But how did his Warwick talk go? So yeah, so during Warwick, Rhode Island talk, he was data dependent, neutral. He said that equities could be overvalued, or they might be high valuations right now. That there might be high valuations. That the current rate is moderately restrictive. He framed the last cut, the 25 basis point cut, as more of a risk management move, he said. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and lock it in up here if I can get filled right here. Try. Very close. I'll go with a cheaper fill here and just lock that in. There we go. So yeah, we're over $200 in profit today on gold. I do better trading gold, man. I'm telling you, it's easier to predict, I think. But I'll put it back to the Nasdaq now that I'm covered in that position. Did the president ever announce any crypto news like they wanted him to? A lot of people wanted them to announce some type of crypto news, the president, and I know he did something at 7:20 yesterday. I don't know what it was. At least that's what it was scheduled for. Paramount has reportedly yet to formally approach Warner Bros. Discovery with a buyout offer. So they haven't done that yet. Lithium America says it's in discussions with DOE and General Motors. Topics include certain conditions precedent, draw on DOE loans associated with loan specifics. Again, mortgage rates did show up a little bit lower today for 30-year, 6.34%. Last time was 6.39%. So we've seen 30-year slowly drop into this last easing. Again, Alibaba's up on a deal, on a cloud deal. Bitcoin is a little bit higher today. It's at 113. That's good. Yeah, news is pretty light. Checking right now. So yeah, Palantir and Boeing had news. Boeing's Defense, Space, and Security Unit announced a partnership with Palantir to accelerate adoption of AI systems across defense classified programs. It would integrate Palantir's analytics AI platform into Boeing's operations for military aircraft, satellites, weapons, and more. On Boeing's side, there's also momentum with large aircraft orders. Uzbekistan Airways committed to buying 14 Boeing 787 and 9s, with options for 8 more, potentially $8 billion in value. So there's signals that Boeing might clinch a major aircraft sale to China in the near future, which would bring a big recovery in that market specifically. And with that, Bank of America boosted its Palantir target to 215, citing strong growth. In digital battle management and defense contracts, analysts are pointing to Palantir's forward deployed engineers embedded with clients. Oh yeah, Boeing Palantir news. Again, Alibaba had news this morning. Alibaba announced a major AI cloud investment, unveiling a new model for Alibaba. Let me pull up Discord. So MU had earnings yesterday, right? Analysts are expecting a beat and raised performance from Micron, but its outlook nonetheless impressed. MU is down a little bit here now. Morning. It went up to 170s, but now it's back down to 165. So MU released earnings yesterday. And they originally gapped up from it, but early this morning, they just went red. You can see the previous closing price right here. They're starting to dip. NASDAQ pulling back a little bit. Gold's rebounding some. Do a poll here. Are you bullish or bearish on today's market is on the poll. You can vote on that now. Yeah, somebody told me to buy Amazon. I didn't. I like Amazon as a company though, but and gold back under 3,800s, just underneath it though. It's not much. Yeah, I'm looking at other news. Again, mortgage rates dipped. Alibaba announced a cloud investment, AI and cloud investment. Boeing and Palantir deal. Palantir's up. Boeing is up a little bit. MU had earnings yesterday. They've effectively dropped under 165 now. Red on the day for MU. Kind of a quiet week leading into tomorrow and Friday. Tomorrow we got GDP data. It's Q2 finalized, like third revision GDP is what it is. We got that tomorrow. PCE inflation's coming on Friday. Tomorrow we got GDP data. So right, so the German spokesperson said Trump's statements give them hope that they can talk more in depth regarding Russia's sanctions. Amazon upgraded to overweight at Wells Fargo, price target 280. General Motors upgraded to buy at UBS, price target 81. LTC Properties upgraded at market perform at BMO, price target 39. Micron upgraded to outperform at KGI, price target is 196. NASDAQ NDAQ upgraded to strong buy at CFRA. Quanta Services upgraded to a buy at Jefferies. ServiceNow upgraded to overweight at Morgan Stanley. Price target is $12.50. Valley National upgraded to buy at Jefferies. Price target $14. Biopharma upgraded to buy at Stifle, price target 55. Downgrades were Adobe downgraded to equal weight at Morgan Stanley, price target 450. Bloom Energy downgraded to underperform at Jefferies, price target 31. CrowdStrike downgraded to sell at DZ Bank, price target 440s. Keurig Dr. Pepper downgraded to equal weight at Barclays. KLA Corp downgraded to hold at CFRA, and some more downgrades this morning. Adobe downgraded. Again, you can see Alibaba up there. Here's Adobe. Ooh. Yeah, but Adobe was downgraded to equal weight at Morgan Stanley, and they still have a price target of 450, which is about 93 dollars higher than where it's at now. Here's the 200 exponential. We got 900 right here above us too on the NASDAQ. PCE is expected this week. We have building permits today? I guess we do. We got building permits at 8:30. New home sales at 10. PCE is expected at 0.2%. A little bit lower than expected, actually. In terms of longer term, their PCE year over year is expected at 2.7. Core is expected at 2.9%. Friday. So these are all basically where they were last time, except for core PCE is basically the same. It was 2.9%. They're expecting 2.9%. Regular PCE year over year is 2.7. Last time was 2.6. So a slight uptick of 0.1% for headline. Month over month, it's expected at 0.3%. Or no, I'm sorry. I'm showing month over month. Core is expected at 0.2%. And then yeah, core is expected at 0.2%. So it's basically flat. Not much news dropping over the last few minutes. So we got a nice little bounce here at this 200 exponential level. Gold's still moving up right at 3,800s right now. Yeah, I mean, Powell basically pivoted away from what he said in the last Fed meeting. The last Fed meeting, he basically said it might be part of a broader easing cycle, essentially. And then this time he said this was a risk management cut and we're going to be data dependent now. Silver's in the same range it's been in for most of this week. You know, silver's basically been sideways since Monday evening. I still believe the president's going to announce more tariffs. Yeah, I mean, maybe. Look, he's got the China deadline in November, right? So the China deadline's November, and so, yeah. I mean, look at gold still rise here, guys. So gold is still edging higher here. Look at gold. Gold over 3,800s. It's at 3801.50s right now. So we got this pullback to 24.9 here on the Nasdaq. Let's see if we bounce there. Gold's still rising at 38.02s basically. JP threw a wrench in my plans yesterday. Gold's still rising. Baba had some news. It looks kind of slow right now. And he's up. Nvidia's elevated. A lot of tech is up today, but a lot of it dropped yesterday. So a lot of it's just kind of rebounds back up from the drops yesterday. All right, guys. Still dropping down here. Nasdaq correcting a little bit. I'm looking at 25,000 today. I want to see if it breaks 25K. Is what I want. All right, guys. So, hold on. Still dropping pretty substantially here. I don't see any big breaking news. Commerce Bank going to implement share buyback program up to €1 billion. Activist Engine Capital builds a roughly 3% stake in Arcadia Healthcare in a letter to the board, according to Financial Times. I think this is just kind of a pullback here. I don't see any news. Yeah, I don't see anything. All right, still dropping down to 24,890s here. 24,890s on the Nasdaq. Let's see if that drop continues. Gold's still over 3,800, so let's see if it holds. The VIX is back down to 1633s right now. 1633s. Let me drink some coffee. All right, we're still dropping. Let's watch 885. So look at this pullback here. I don't really see any news that is going to spike markets down like this. The dip, I don't know yet. This drop looks too dippy for me. It's too early in pre-market. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Nvidia's turning. All right, this has got to be some type of catalyst related here. MU's dropping. Maybe everybody's just late to see the catalyst, but I don't see anything right now. EMU going down. See if there's a stock driving this or it's just the whole market. Nvidia's falling. Not Apple, not Google, not Meta. See the Russian and the Iran sign a memo on building small nuclear plants. But I don't think that's going to drop markets. Yeah, I don't see anything on any of the wires I have. A big correction though. The European Union's looking to revive U.S. talks on metals. Still falling a little bit here. Look at this. Amazon raised to overweight from equal weight by Wells Fargo. Price target raised to Amazon 280. Yeah, it does look like it's Amazon dropping markets, but I don't really see any other news. It's a drop though. My mama always told me I'm allergic to the fake shit. That's all right, this is just one of those songs that they have on the list here. Not my song. It's not like I picked out that song. A little bit too much here. Sorry. Yeah, it might be a late reaction to Powell. Powell basically said things might be overvalued. I still think gold's an interesting look too. But the Nasdaq has had a bunch of red candles in a row. Could be MU. MU's kind of turning, but I don't think it's going to influence markets like that. Okay, look elsewhere. I gotta figure something out. Yeah, so we're down. I don't see any breaking news either. Could just be a red turn in markets. I don't know. Yeah, Google's down a little bit on the day. There's no liquidity there though, but it could be driving things. Did he really? I didn't really see what he said yesterday. I saw some of it, but it didn't really affect markets like that, you know, when he spoke yesterday morning. Yeah, Palantir's got a crazy PE ratio for sure, but Palantir can catch up to it. Yeah, Palantir can catch up to it. I'm not sure if it's going to, but it could. Yeah, a lot of people were worried about overvaluations. Now, Powell basically said it yesterday in the speech. So Powell talking about overvaluations, I don't necessarily think is good. You know, we'll wait and see, but I don't necessarily think it's digital. It's up a lot. It's up 100%. 3 weeks. Nasdaq still pushing down here. Still dropping. We're at 24,877 here, retesting that low of the last few candles. Gold still pushing up over 38.02s now in futures. Buy dipping down, of course. We are in a channel though, if you look at this. Like, I'm sure everybody can probably see this longer term kind of move on the SPY. If we zoom out here, you can probably see it here too. A little bit longer. This is the bottom of it. Yep. Bitcoin's a little bit higher this morning, a little bit higher. MU is down after earnings yesterday. All right, Amazon's starting to come back a little bit. Let's see if we bounce right here. This would be kind of the bottom if you look at a 5-minute chart. Kind of have the bottom of a longer term channel. Look. Top 3 worst drawing ever right there, but I think a lot of people see this right here. This is close to the bottom. Bottom's about right here. So maybe we're gonna bounce here. Maybe we'll keep going down. I don't really see any news dragging the markets, but we're watching for it. Get over 885. This was like a previous level. Oracle's down. I mean, it's still technically green on the day slightly. It might be going red right now though. Oracle dropped a lot yesterday too. Where's Intel been? Intel's still elevated today, still at 29s. John, why would a private buyer pay a higher price than the shares? In what context are you talking about, Ryan? Talking about buyouts, it's typically because they're trying to buy all the shares. So we're at 882s. We did reject at 885s right there, a little bit at least. Gold's still elevated. All right, so we rejected at 885s. If we hold down here now. All right, so we're chesting 885s right now, 24 880s. Amazon's still ripping up. Where's Apple at? Again, Alibaba had some news. All right, so we're back over 885s. Building permits did drop. They came in at negative 2.3%. Previous, they were 3.7% down. So a little bit less of a negative number than last time, but still negative. You know, it showed building permits come out whenever. They don't really drop at 8:30. We do have new home sales today at 10 a.m. Expected at 6:50. Probably not moving markets. We will see what we get. Damn, you got banned last time for a day, bro. You know. Looking for pushbacks up to the high. All the way back up. I mean, we're close to all-time highs on the NASDAQ, but we're not close enough here for me to be super bullish. Like, here's all-time highs up here. 24, 28s or whatever it is. Or 25, 28s. I think 25 is a big number though, and I think we're close to it. But we need a little bit of we need a little bit of bullish momentum to get us there. And I don't know if we have it yet. We're already up a little bit of pre-market. I think the closer we get to over 24.9, the easier it's going to be. We don't give out investment advice. I'm not an investment professional. Nothing here is investment advice. We're not liable if you lose money. Understand all the stuff on screen. Not an investment professional. We're definitely not liable if you lose. And I don't even know what investment advice is, but I don't give it. Top 3 least financial professional people in the world right now. Do not copy me. Nothing we say here is guaranteed. Everything might be wrong. Don't do it. Don't copy me. Not an investment professional. We're at 883.75 right now. Yeah, like we just cover news here mostly. We cover news. We can tell people what we're doing. We never frame it under, you know, truth or fact. We're just kind of covering news here for free. You're welcome. We do this live for free every day. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. Thank you guys for helping me break 166,000. I appreciate it. We're over 66K. That's always good. Again, we're heading into PCE data tomorrow. LEU was up a lot in 2 weeks. It's just not something I'm interested in buying. It's up too much. It's up like almost 100%. From 214s to not quite 100%. It's up a lot. It's up almost 50% in 2 weeks. So for me, I'm not trying to buy it, but maybe momentum brings it higher. Maybe it crashes back down. I don't know. I know I don't want to buy it right here. No matter what it does, it's just too high. It's up a lot on the year too. Don't do it, Kaiser. Kaiser's just he's trolling too, but trend is still bullish. Yeah, the trend's bullish, but it's up a lot. It's just not really what I'm in. It's not my style, right? Like, it might go up, but it's not my style. It might go down too. You never know. NASDAQ back over this level here, back over 24,885. Again, if we get over 24.9, I think it becomes more probable we make the try of 25. We're still not close. Like, we're still 1,000 away, or not 1,000, $100 away on the NQ if we get over 24.9 from 25,000 and close to previous highs. Yeah, I mean, Powell kind of pivoted. Powell was more dovish, I would say, in the Fed meeting last week, and then this week he was more data dependent, neutral. I would say he was a little hawkish too. I think he the last Fed meeting, he basically said that he thinks this is going to maybe start a broader easing cycle. And then yesterday he basically came out saying that this was a risk management cut and that it might not necessarily be the start of another easing cycle. And so kind of flip-floppy there for Powell, I think. And yeah, we'll see what happens with all this stuff. Rigetti. Yeah, Rigetti up this morning. Look at this chart on Rigetti. This is a quantum stock, RGTI. Look at this chart. What a crazy chart. Quantum is taking off. Again, Alibaba up on an AI cloud investment deal at 177.40s right now, 160s. MU had earnings, but it's now red on the day. Oracle down on the day slightly. So, again, gold still up there, but kind of choppy sideways now. A little bit of a bounce back. Oracle files for a 7-parts note offering. So OpenAI announces a partnership with SAP to launch sovereign OpenAI for Germany. PCE is Friday. Basically, Powell yesterday, in my opinion, was neutral. He cautioned the economic outlook is darkening, so he did acknowledge that the labor report were weak and that it was looking weaker for sure in the labor market. He emphasized elevated equity valuations, so he thought equity valuations were high. He described the current stance as moderately restrictive, leaving the door open to other cuts if the labor market gets worse and outweighs inflation risks. But he framed the recent rate cut as risk management, not a pivot to necessarily aggressive easing, and emphasized decisions will remain data dependent. And he called equity prices, quote, fairly highly valued, end quote. So yeah, again, he was neutral to me. I would say he was a little hawkish in terms of his outlook for rate cuts, but he kind of left the door open for both, and he was very data dependent is what it was. I don't know if he was dovish. He definitely recognized a weakening labor market, right? Quantum hardware continues to improve, software not so much. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Yeah, but I appreciate you guys helping me hit 166K. Keep pushing. Appreciate it. When does the Fed have anything to do with the stock market? Well, they're kind of correlated. I mean, you got to understand, right? Low interest rates can cause spending to increase and all this other stuff. And maybe, like they affect each other for sure. But it's not always a perfect correlation. And again, you kind of see this in 2022. We got really restrictive in the economy. The Fed pivoted, inflation spiked almost 10%, and so in response to that, the Fed got really restrictive and raised interest rates for a while and paused them at restrictive levels, and then didn't start cutting until last year. During that period of time, the stock market boomed. Like, it ran. It was mostly the AI boom. It's mostly an AI boom, so like AI was running up big. This is when all these AI stocks started IPOing. Generally speaking, though, and again, it's always outliers. There's always outliers. Generally speaking, like, low rates is better for the stock market. High rates is worse, especially like Mag 7. But short term, stocks might like cuts because of that. But if longer term rates start to fall down because of recession worries, it can kind of do the opposite. Yeah, he did talk about AI a lot. Freeport McMoran confirms 2 incidents on PT Freeport mining operations. So Powell yesterday acknowledged that AI may be already affecting the labor market for entry-level roles and recent graduates. Honestly, this is what I said a few days ago, right? We were talking about how AI is going to affect programmers, right? And what I said is that it's definitely going to affect junior programmers. Like, you don't really need a junior programmer with AI. It's not as much, right? And so entry-level jobs, AI might be affecting those already with recent graduates and entry-level roles. He did qualify it by saying, hard to say how big this effect is or to isolate it among many drivers in the labor market. Some firms might be substituting junior roles with AI or automation, he suggested, but that's only one piece of a broader slowdown in job growth. We also had Treasury Secretary Bessent say the Fed has been too high for too long in a Fox Business interview, and says they're going into an easing cycle. Maybe, if labor market continues to turn. I'll tell you what, next week's job report is going to be huge on Friday. Next week, PCE this week is big too. But Powell also noted on AI that there's unusually large amounts of economic activity through the AI build out. Investments and projects around AI are contributing to the economy momentum. So he said this is one of the more direct acknowledgments from a central banker, or no, this is one of the more direct acknowledgments from Powell. That AI is not just necessarily an abstract risk, but that it's actually like directly affecting the labor market. Yeah, so we saw the negative 2.3% versus negative 3.7. Yeah, so Bessent is on a Fox Business interview right now. Looking for quotes. He said a couple of Fed candidates surprised me. We stand by regarding Argentina. We stand ready to do what is needed to support it. He said revisions on jobs show something was wrong. I'm surprised Fed Chair Powell hasn't signaled a destination for interest rates and that rates are too restrictive and need to come down some. But he does say he thinks we're going up into an easing cycle. He said, I'm not sure why Powell has backed up a bit. Right. So again, like, that's what I was thinking too. So what Bessent is probably describing is, I thought Powell switched his tune from last week's Fed meeting to yesterday. right? Last week's Fed meeting, I thought he was pretty dovish. I'm pretty sure he acknowledged that we were going into an easing cycle, potentially. And the markets reacted favorably to that when Powell did that on Wednesday of last week, right? And then yesterday he came out basically saying this is not necessarily the start of an easing cycle, that this was just a risk management cut, and that we're not necessarily going to commit to an easing cycle. And now we have Bessent. And again, I'm not political. I know Bessent is, you know, some of his stances are political as well. But in this context, I don't necessarily disagree that I see a switch in Powell from the previous Fed meeting last week to this week. I don't necessarily disagree with that. I think we have seen kind of a switch in Powell. I think Powell was more hawkish this week for some reason. He wasn't as willing to commit to an easing cycle as he was on Wednesday last week. And we haven't really had any data to come out that might change his tune. And so it's an interesting dynamic, I think, here. But there's better than ever a chance that AI will solve quantum software. Maybe. I don't know. I think Powell probably is in touch with what people are saying and tries to balance it, is my guess, right? If I had to take a guess, I think Powell is paying attention to what people are saying. I think Powell's watching what people are saying. I think Powell understands this, right? And again, I've been kind of here to help this space grow. I've covered a lot of Fed meetings over the last few years. When I first started covering them, nobody was doing it, right? Now everybody's doing it. And I think Powell recognizes that people are starting to pay attention to these Fed meetings much more. He even commented at the end of yesterday's speech, hey, you shouldn't watch the Fed decisions so much, you know? You shouldn't hyper focus on the Fed meetings and all this stuff so much. It doesn't matter that much, is what he said essentially yesterday at the end of the speech. And so I think he does pay attention to this stuff. He pays attention to what people are saying. And maybe for balance, he tried to pivot a little bit, is my guess. I don't know. I'm speculating, but that's my guess. So Bessent said he will hold lots of Fed interviews next week, and a couple of Fed candidates surprised him. I think you harp on Powell because somebody else did it first. What does that mean? I mean, I cover Powell because, you know, realistically, I cover Powell because I started watching rates and Fed decisions. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, it's hard to tell the context. I don't know if you're talking to me or whatever. Yeah. The jokes in the comments yesterday were making me laugh, though. We had some funny comments. Powell skips leg day. Powell kept coughing, needed some water. Water is transitory. The comments were funny, man. I was having a hard time not laughing, but... Hey, what's up, Ali? Yeah, listen, if I don't respond to you guys in chat, it's not intentional. I'm just kind of looking at other stuff. I'm trying to cover other stuff. Chat moves quickly here, so I'm doing my best to, like, cover everything that's going on, you know, while also occasionally looking over at the chat. And so if I don't respond to you, it's not intentional. It's just probably just my timing looking at something else took up my attention and I didn't see it. Waters for QEasers. ABE, always be easing. Are we quoting Glenn Ross? Yeah. Water is transitory. Yeah. I actually said that one yesterday. That was my joke. I know, but I know it from Glenn Geary and Glenn Ross. Always be closing as ABC, you know. But Nvidia down at 179 though. Nvidia's dropping. Gold still over 3,800. Looks like it's bouncing a little bit there. Let's see if it holds there. Probably saw the treasury market reaction and realizes further cuts may scare the market further. If a cut leads to a rise in yields, what's the point of cutting? Yeah, I mean, I get it, but that's possible. It's definitely possible. But yields are just getting baked in, right? So yields are still net down, right? They're not going to always go down just because we cut. Like the yields are getting baked into a cut before the meeting, not afterwards. Right, and so the drop in yields, and let's take a look at yields. We haven't looked at them this morning yet, but the drop in yields it's kind of a buy the rumor, sell the news for yields, right? Like they're currently at 4.123%. But the drop in this, like if you look at like a monthly chart, right? Like leading into this Fed decision, that's when we're seeing yields come down. You know, that's when we're seeing yields drop. It's a buy the rumor, sell the news. Once we get, this is people baking in potentially 25, potentially 50 basis point cut, right? And then when they announce 25, some of the people that were betting on 50, it's just, that's the market right there. And so it's buy the rumor, sell the news. Like they're dropping into the Fed decision, and then after the Fed decision, they're correcting a little bit. Is why yields are up some. They're not going to go straight down. But the real move is happening before the decision because most people recognize the odds, right? And it's what I always tell people, like before this Fed meeting, I told you guys we would be cutting 25 basis points. People would argue, people would bet on 50, they'd bet on no pause, or they bet on no cut and a pause, they bet on all this nonsense things. But again, there's a reason I'm like, hey, we're going to cut 25 and we cut 25 is because it's predictable. The odds are predictable, you know? People, for whatever reason, always pick these wild odds. They go by too much what people say. And you can't look at what they say. You can't look at what... Look, Bowman, Bessent, all those guys are going to act like we're going to cut more. But we're not. Like, you got to think it's not up to them. They're going to reciprocate, or they're going to mirror what the president wants. President wants big cuts, right? But that's not necessarily the most probable outcome. And so I think you got to just look at... I'm not even saying I didn't want big cuts. I think maybe we should have cut 50. But it's not what I want. Confirmation bias can trick a lot of people. It's what the most probable outcome is. And I think the closer you get to the meeting, the more, you know, you understand. We're probably going to cut 25. Yeah, Powell's not going to shake markets unnecessarily. If he did, he'd get more heat for it, right? And he doesn't want more heat. He's stepping down in, what, 7 months? Coffees for closers. Yeah. Waters for easers. Forgetty pulling back a little bit. Yeah, I think we're going to do 25, 25, 25 is what I think. But again, a lot of it depends on Friday this week. It depends on Friday next week. Friday this week's PCE inflation. Lower PCE will signal more cuts. Potentially. Definitely more freedom to cut if we have lower PCE inflation, which core PCE is the one the Fed looks at heavily. It's their preferred inflation gauge on Friday. So Friday, PCE important. GDP tomorrow is somewhat important. Jobless claims as well, if you want to look at the labor market earlier. Jobless claims, unemployment, and, GDP data tomorrow. And then Friday next week is the next labor report. So the next payroll report, the next unemployment report. Oracle's still falling down here, guys. Look at Oracle. Yeah, when you take a look at the odds for cuts, NASDAQ turning. Look at Oracle. Oracle's falling here. Nvidia's falling. Yeah, but at this point, another 25 basis point cut is 94% more likely. 94%. Next week, next month. So at this point, this is a 25 BP cut, and then this would be a pause right here, right? This is 94.1% likely. So at this point, unless something changes with PCE inflation with the labor report next week, it's still pretty likely we're going to cut next month as well. I think we're going to do 25, 25, 25. Look at Oracle giving back a lot of these gains. Yeah, 830 scrum. Let's see. Yeah, but there's no reason to argue about politics here. Like, you can disagree with each other and just respectfully move on. It's all good. No need to argue about it. I mean, you can argue we should have cut or we shouldn't have cut or whatever it is. I think, like, I see a lot of people saying, oh, we shouldn't cut, inflation's a risk. And I get it. I don't think 3% inflation is enough to not save the labor market through cutting phases, right? I just don't think it is. I think you have to understand if the risks are both, the labor market is a little bit more important, right? And they will take the risk of inflation spiking if it saves the economy, right? Because if we don't save the economy, we enter recessions. And then everybody's going to be complaining about that, and they're not going to be able to find jobs, and it's going to be a struggle, and everybody's going to be unhappy. And so if you have to weigh one, I would say the labor market's a little bit more important, especially if we're at under 3% inflation, PCE inflation. I think that's what the Fed's going to do, and I think that's what most people, regardless of which side of the political spectrum they're on, I think most people are going to fit in that blueprint right there, where it's like they're both risks. If the labor market shows obvious signs of weakening and turning towards a recession, then they're going to pivot more to the recession risks versus inflation. Now, whether you personally fear inflation more or recession more, I get it. But again, that's kind of how I am. Like, I fear inflation as well. I'm self-employed. I feel inflation more than somebody that is going to get their salary raised with inflation that works at a corporate job. But, you got to recognize the signs that the labor market might be turning. We've been in I would say we've been at a restrictive level, especially when you take into context the last 25 years. If you look at the Fed funds rate, just as an example, over the last... And it doesn't mean there's no risk to inflation, right? But if you look at the Fed fund rate graph over the last 25 years, we're at pretty restrictive levels, I would say. Still, here's the last 25 years. And prior to this last cut, I mean, yeah, we're here. So I guess it just depends on where you consider the neutral rate. A lot of people would argue you should take into account the 80s, which kind of skewed the averages here. And maybe you should. I think it's a different time, and I think it's skewing the averages for sure. But if you take into account the last 25 years, which fit really within this rectangle, this terribly drawn rectangle, we're I would say restrictive. And I think people are not used to these high interest rates. It's certainly affecting housing. It's affecting a lot of stuff. All right, guys. So looking at our poll numbers, we asked people, are you bullish or bearish on today's market? 61% are bullish, 39% are bearish. Inflation is happening right now. I'm a chef. Prices have gone up by 10% from all providers. Yeah, no, inflation's definitely a risk. I'm not saying it's not, right? Like, I understand inflation's the risk for sure. And I think the last 5 years has caused a lot of price increases. Food and energy are going to be the most volatile, though. So if you're a chef, you got to understand food and energy prices are going to fluctuate. And again, I recognize inflation as a risk as well, especially in the context of tariffs. Of course, inflation's a risk. But as long as we don't start like a bigger money printing scenario with quantitative easing, I think we can probably lower interest rates and not have too much of a terrible effect to inflation. But it's nuanced for sure. Anyways, we're back up to 885s. So we're moving up to wait for a new Fed chair. Yeah, labor is getting replaced by AI for sure. Again, like we got into this conversation the other day. I think it's absolutely true. And I think you got to understand, like, again, like I taught myself how to program. You know, I know PineScript. I know, really I was front end. So I was JavaScript and React Native. And I knew a little bit of Python because Python's what I learned with first. I learned Python first. A little bit more literal of the language, easier to learn. But digressing back to the point here, AI can do basically everything for you now, right? Like you don't need to learn front-end languages anymore. Not nearly to the extent. Maybe the really good front-end developers, like the top 10%, which I certainly wasn't in, maybe they will have a little bit more job security, but a lot of that stuff's getting replaced by AI. Like you can have AI program all this stuff, create different, you know, algorithms, programs, applications very quickly. And so what that's going to mean is that we're going to see a huge percentage of the hiring for those type of jobs, especially junior developers, fall off the map. We're not going to see them anymore. And that's what Powell said yesterday a little bit, is that entry-level jobs are getting affected the most from AI. And honestly, I think as time goes on, that dynamic is going to get worse and worse. And that's a risk to the labor market 100%. Now, ironically, I think you can learn program really easy right now. And if you know what you're doing, you can kind of create applications and, you know, different businesses and stuff like that from AI right now. And so I think AI is benefiting self-employed people the most, outside of people that are affected by their applications being rendered obsolete from AI. And that's definitely a percentage of people. But yeah, that's my take on AI right now. People act like I celebrate it. I certainly don't celebrate it. I think, I mean, I use AI regularly. And so I think people that use it are going to become a little bit better suited to continue doing whatever they're doing versus people that just ignore it completely, you know. Yeah, we got PCE data on Friday, but it's coming. So PCE data is coming on Friday. Be here at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time on Friday. PCE inflation. Core PCE is the most important one. We don't have any 8:30 data release today, but we had building permits earlier. Showed up a little bit more positive. Still negative number, but less negative than expected. We have new home sales at 10 a.m. today. Tomorrow we have jobless claims, GDP, durable goods, Goolsby speaking. And remember, jobless claims is a week-to-week unemployment filing report. It's how many people are filing for unemployment week to week is what jobless claims is, but it's more real time. It's not as lagging as some of the other labor reports. And so it's a real-time look at unemployment, and we cover it every Thursday. It's at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. That also drops simultaneously with GDP data, quarter two, third revision, finalized GDP data. It's expected, I think, at 3.3%. But, you know, May and June did get some labor revised down. We had much more weak payroll reports, but we'll see. I don't think it's going to affect GDP too much, but we'll see. We'll watch for that tomorrow, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. And then at Friday at 8:30, we're going to cover PCE inflation. So just be ready, be there, be there, and we'll cover it. Hey, buddy. Here, hold on, guys. I'll be right back. All right, sorry guys, I'm back. Yeah, 8:30's here. We'll see how the market moves at 8:30. We don't really have any big release here at 8:30. All right, so here's 8:30 right here. Gold has been back and forth, kind of choppy. It's sitting right at 3,800s though. Alibaba had some AI cloud infrastructure news come out, or investment news come out. Yeah, I mean, AI is still pretty young, to be honest. AI is still pretty early here. All right, so there's 8:30. Treasury Secretary Bessent says rare earth minerals from China continue to flow. He says government stake in Intel was validated by action in Nvidia. He also says, again, he will hold a lot of Fed interviews next week, and a couple of Fed candidates surprised him. But again, the big news coming out this week is tomorrow we got jobless claims unemployment 8:30, and Friday, and GDP data tomorrow as well. And then Friday we have PCE inflation at 8:30. So subscribe, hit the notification bell. We appreciate it. We're gonna cover all this stuff live as soon as it drops, as we always do. And I appreciate the love. Thanks so much. Have a streak of wins and losses. How to keep away from this. I make a lot of money and lose a lot. Well, make your losses smaller than your wins, bro. You know, that's the easiest way. But you can have two different ways you can do it. You can have high accuracy and lower risk reward ratios, or lower reward to risk ratios, I should say. So if you got a 90% accuracy, you can make money with a 1-to-1 ratio or less. If you have 50-60% accuracy, you should be making your money on reward to risk ratio like 2-to-1, 3-to-1. If your risk is 10 cents, your reward should be, greater than 10 cents if you have lower accuracy, but it depends. There's a lot of nuance there. But I'm not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose. Not just that AI makes mistakes, it's that both time anybody uses it, we get charged for it both financially and environmentally. Yeah, but isn't that the reality regarding all tech? I could say the same thing about an Xbox. But necessity is the mother of invention. If people want to use it, money's going to flow to it. They're going to create infrastructures around it. And that's life. That's technology for the last 30, 40 years in terms of electrical technology. And really, it's longer than that. Yeah, I mean, listen, the automobile replaced jobs at carriage factories. Electricity replaced lamp makers, candle makers and lamp makers, and a lot of other stuff too. The TV basically replaced radios in homes to a certain extent, not all the way, but computers replaced typewriters. I can continue on and on and on. That's the nature of technology evolution. I'm not saying this one's good. I think AI is going to replace a lot of stuff. But I think the internet has replaced businesses, brick and mortar businesses as well. This is the nature of technology. And you got to just... The ones that lose the most are ones that don't invest in it. People who fear technology evolution too much are the ones that miss out on it most of the time. And so it is what it is. It's here already. We can't do anything about it. Hey, you might be a little delayed. Hit the live button, guys. Also, check out Top Step if you want to help support the channel. No PDT in futures. You can day trade the S&P, NASDAQ, Dow, Russell, gold. Great way to learn. I love you. Have a good day. A great way to learn how to day trade. Most day traders lose money, and so understand that. You can get started for $50. That's your risk. You're still risking something, so you're learning how to lose something, but you're not funding your account $5K and losing that, $10K losing that, of real money at least. And it's just a better way to learn. Learn without the burn. They give you a 50K demo. If you can make 3K in profit without losing 2K first, following the rest of their rules and conditions, and you want to confirm it all with them, I can't guarantee anything. But if you do that, they fund you 50K. You get to keep your first 10K after that in terms of split, and then 90% after that. So it's similar to funding your own account with way less risk. Top Step X has 0 commission, no PDT in futures. You can day trade the S&P, NASDAQ, Dow, Russell, gold, commodities. Very similar patterns to day trading blue chips. It's a great way to get exposure to markets with less, but most day traders lose, including here. They pay me money. I'm biased. They sponsor, I'm a partner trader by them, so I'm biased, of course. Not an investment professional, not liable if you lose money. There's the link right there if you want to check it out. Great way to help support the channel. And let's see what the opening bell brings. NASDAQ is pretty red on the day so far. Universal basic income is going to have to become a thing in a world dominated by AI. I don't know, man. I think socialism and communism just don't work. Look, and people are like, oh, well, they just haven't done it right in the world. It's like, yeah, but there's a reason for that. People are imperfect. I'm a capitalist, right? And again, I'm not really super political, but I'm certainly a capitalist because capitalism breeds innovation. I get it. We can sit around a fire and sing Kumbaya and say everybody share everything. That's great. The issue is that in those situations historically, you can look at Lenin, you can look at all these different groups. People who want power, if they're in that type of system, they're going to reach out and they're going to take it. And most of the time they take it by force in those situations. Everybody, oh, let's sit around and sing Kumbaya. People who want power, they're gonna want it regardless. And so they're gonna take it. It's gonna turn into a mess. And it has almost every single instance historically turned into that. And so I think you got to let people compete for the power. They're going to want it regardless. And at least if in capitalism it raises the standard of living, it innovates, it causes innovation. And there's a reason people want to come to the US, right? I don't understand the people who just kind of sit around saying, let's share everything. I don't think it makes sense when you look at history either. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. And, you know, there's some good arguments for it. I'm not necessarily opposing those. I just don't think it's feasible. I'm not saying this one's perfect, you know? Like, you could argue kind of super high tax capitalism situations like Nordic states. You know, I understand those too. I'm not saying I'm against anything. I just don't think in history we've ever had any successful execution of socialistic stuff. But, you know, maybe I'm wrong. Might be too political of a conversation. I'm very neutral politically. Like, I agree with both different sides on different things, you know. Anyways. No, social programs can work 100%, right? I'm not saying they can't. It's too political, I think. I remember Kmart's, bro. Kmart's gaming sections were the nicest back in the day. Kmart. I haven't been to a Kmart in years. Years and years. Anyways, Oracle's still breaking down. We're at 307s. All right, so we're very flat in the NASDAQ. We haven't really moved. We're at 875s up to about 885s. It's a very small range. You can see it right here. I'm sure there's some Kmart's left. I don't know if there's many, but I'm sure there's some. As long as Pepe is up, life is great. Yeah, I haven't looked at Pepe crypto in so long. Is it still running? I know it had crazy gains for a long time. Let me look at it now. It's not where it was, but the chart doesn't look here. I'm not telling you to buy this. Trust me. It hasn't done much in like a year for Pepe, but the long-term chart is okay. I don't know. I'm not telling you to buy it. Don't copy me. You know. I'm not telling you to buy this. Yeah, I mean, I would feel irresponsible telling people to buy a super meme crypto. Although, look at the percentage. Look at this percentage. Okay. This is... Yeah, so this is up 91,393,500%. For Pepe. That's a crazy percentage. Target. I haven't looked at Target. I bought it a few days ago. Haven't looked back. Am I red or green? For green. Okay, that's nice. For green on the day too. PayPal's up. S&P will have a 3% correction before it hits 6,800. Maybe. I think it wants 7. Why don't we see day traders above 25 million? Because most of the time the smart day traders, once they make 5 million plus, they recognize that they can make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Like, look, this is why. You want to know why? It's because the smart ones do this. The smart ones recognize that the longer you stay in the game, the riskier it gets. And once you have $5 million, right? Let's just look at current treasury rates, right? You can make what, 4.1%? So 5 million times 4.1% is going to be $205,000 a year. So you can earn $205,000 a year. If you stick this in regular markets, again, I'll do the, I know the math, but I'm going to do the calculation anyway. You make $5 million, you can make 10% of that a year. You got $500,000 a year that you can pull out of that 5 million. And nobody really needs more than $500,000 a year to live off of, right? Not really, you know. And so what they do is once they earn 5, 10, 15, 25 million or more, they just, if the smart ones liquidate, get out, and then just stick their money in bonds in the stock market and live off of it. Money markets, whatever you want to live off of, you know, real estate, they buy real estate, like whatever they want to do, right? That's what the smart money does. The gamblers are going to keep pushing. Like, remember, there was the guy that made, what, $100 million in crypto or something, and then gave it all the way back, right? And then he blamed it on manipulation. Again, gambling mentality, right? You make 100 million, you better walk the heck away, you know? Don't be dumb. Like, don't gamble it more. Greed and gambling mentality catches people. In our lifetime, $500,000 a year will be scraping by, sure. But if you invest it and hedge with it in real estate or whatever, it's going to go up over time with it. You're done after $1 million? I disagree. $1 million's not as much as people think it is. It depends on your situation, but $1 million's not enough. $1 million, you might be able to what? Get maybe 10%, which is 100K a year, but then you're not counting into inflation over time. It's going to get dwindled down. You do bonds, it's even less. I think you need at least 3 to 4 million to be able to live off of it. Yeah, it depends on where you live, for sure. In Texas, maybe. But yeah, but I don't necessarily, Big Betty says in our lifetime, 500K a year will be scraping by. I don't necessarily, I agree. I don't like I saw Dave Ramsey the other day. Dave Ramsey's like, hey, you want to know how to turn into a millionaire? And he's like, hey, if you just invest all this money for 30 years, in 30 years, you'll have $1 million. You'll have $1.3 million. It's like, well, yeah, but $1 million in 30 years is going to be nothing. It's going to be absolutely nothing. It's going to be like 200K, 300K equivalency. It doesn't mean as much as you think it means. It's just kind of big buzzwords that get people excited. Like, we're going to have inflation from then, you know? Like, if you want to see how much it really means. But let's take away 3% a year in inflation in 30 years. It's going to be about 500,000 in 30 years. It's going to be dwindled down from inflation. And that's assuming we only have 3% yearly inflation, which we're probably going to have more than that. And so it's going to get dwindled down a lot. And so the overarching point I always try to tell people is, and again, I'm not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose. Always make your own assessment. Trade smart. I can't guarantee anything. I'm the top 3 least financial professional in the world. Half the time I have no idea what I'm talking about. But if you do not invest your money into something, you are going to lose that money over time. And so, yeah. Yeah, real estate, you got to time it correctly. Like, if the real estate market turns and prices fall 30%, like some people are doom and glooming in real estate, which may be true, I don't know. But if it happens, that's my time to buy, you know. Interest rates will start going down, you know. But wash sale rule basically means you can't write off. If I make $1,000 in a security, and again, ask your CPA, not a CPA professional, not liable. Definitely have no idea what I'm talking about in terms of accounting. But from my understanding, the wash sale rule basically says if I make $1,000 on the SPY, and then I lose $1,000 on the SPY, I can't write off just the $1,000 loss I took when really I'm net flat, right? I can't write off the $1,000 loss and get like a huge tax advantage from that. And so the wash sale rule essentially means you can't write off unbalanced swings on the downside in order to act like you're down when really you're net flat. That's my understanding of the wash sale rule. All right, guys, we got 40 minutes into the open. Gold spiking back up over 3,800s, but we are slightly in a downward trend. The NASDAQ, we're just not really getting any good range here. This is a very tight range. We are testing lower, but it's still kind of slow. I don't like taxes. I don't like property taxes. I don't like any of it. I don't like income taxes. I pay way too much for all that stuff. I don't like it. We're triple taxed. I think it's dumb. Yeah, I think people get excited to buy new cars. They finance new cars. Most of the time they shouldn't be. Locking themselves into longer term debt. Never fun, you know. And people should be buying cheaper used cars most of the time. Depends on who you are, though. Gold's still rallying higher at 38.02s right now, 38.02s. But I mean, at the same time, some people don't have like really the choice, like the option of you know, a lot of people don't have the option for it. So they just get what they can because they need a car, and I get it. Can't really judge them for it either. Really, what I'm talking about is people who make 50K a year, 60K a year, going out and financing a brand new car that's going to depreciate massively just as soon as you drive it off the lot. I think that's a bad idea. Should always be used. I I like cars, but I don't like them that much. Right, exactly, Pawn. I think that's a good idea. Property tax is the reason the Fed wants to maintain 2%. Without it, their income is capped. Yeah. Why stop when you get wiser with more experience? Because after a certain amount of money, the edge is not day trading. After a certain amount of money, the edge is in long-term investing. And maybe business acquisition, real estate acquisition. You know? So. Everybody's goal number to do it is different. I would say 5 million. 3 to 5 million is what you need. You could have 5 million with, like, let's say you take $5 million and you stick 3 million of it into bonds, safe, protected, guaranteed returns. Say you get 4% or 4.125%, which is right around where rates are now. You're gonna make about $123,000 from those bond payments. And then you have $2 million. You can live off of it. You can do whatever. You can invest it in the stock market, which, let's say you take 1,500 of that remaining 1.5 million of the remaining 2, and you earn 10% a year. You're gonna make 150K a year from that on average. But you can let that compound, which is probably the right move. It's just to let that compound long term for retirement, and then you sit on a $500,000 nest egg. I think that's probably the smartest plan. Everybody's different. Everybody's different. So we're trending very slow on the downside, but we're still down. I'm gonna buy this dip. Do you think we keep falling down here? Leasing can make sense if you're in the upper echelon of income earners. Leasing can make sense, you know. And the logic of it is that if you have FU money, if you have FU money and you want to buy a new car, you want the newest and best every year, does it make sense to buy a car every year? Probably not. It might make more sense to just lease the new 2025 model, and then the new 2026 model the next year, and then the new 2027 model the next year, and that way you're also always swapping it out for the newest and best with less paperwork, you know. But again, that's a very specific group of people. Most people are not going to have it like that, you know? Would you put everything on a house and pay cash or invest for 30 years? It depends on the market, to be honest. Depends on what rates are like. If rates are low, you know, there might be an argument for longer term investing into that property. And but you could also do something like the BRRRR real estate, which is buy, renovate, rent, refinance, repeat. So you buy a house, renovate it to fix it up to raise its value, stick tenants in there that pay refinance, so then take the cash out in a tax-free way and then use that cash to buy another investment property and do the same thing for that one, and then buy another investment property in the same way and do the same thing for that one. And over time the tenants will pay down the mortgages that you're getting, pay down the house over time. So you will build equity in the homes over time in multiple different properties simultaneously. And as long as property values rise, which they generally do, you'll be able to ask more in rent over time to pay the mortgage faster and all that other stuff. So I mean, there's ways you can do it. It just depends on the person. Nothing is absolute for everybody. It just depends on your situation. Right. Yeah, Quantum's still going crazy, man. Rigetti up big. Yeah. Still looking at gold. Gold's sitting close. But I should have bought this dip. I was thinking about buying it on the NQ, and now we've kind of bounced back. Let's watch 885s. I think if we get over 885s, it might mean a trend change, but I don't know for sure. All right, so we're bouncing back. Let's watch 885s. Still waiting for some positions. We got 30 minutes. There's 8 a.m. There's 9 a.m. Okay, we got new home sales at 10. We'll cover a release. All right, so Bank of England Governor Bailey says there is still further room to cut rates. The extent depends on the path of inflation. Well, this stuff's just obvious. Yeah, I'm in Target right now. I bought it a few days ago and I'm green. I took a little bit off yesterday, kind of take a little bit more risk off of it, but see if it holds. Target PE ratio is low. I think they pay a divvy, a solid divvy too. Let me make sure. Yeah, they pay $1.14 a quarter. Annual dividend is 5.24%. But that might be why the PE ratio is so low. So. All right, so we went up to the 200 exponential, and again, I'm here to say the 1 minute 200 exponential generally works really well. You can tell like algorithms pay attention to it, I think. I don't know, Lulu down here, I'm not against it. Like, I don't know for sure. I think Lulu could do anything. I'm proud of my Lulu call, bro. I argued with so many different people who were hyper bullish on Lululemon, you know, right at their peak, you know, and the arguments I gave people were correct. And so I'm proud of my Lulu call, but whether I want to buy it down here, it's so cheap right now. I don't know what the PE ratio of Lulu, let me look. As of mid-September, it's 12. Got a 12 PE ratio. So down here, it might be a buy. I don't know. I'm not telling you to buy it. Okay, so the US AI sector, the US loses appeal for Chinese AI researchers, according to the information. So the US AI sector is crowded with Chinese researchers that some joke the global AI races between two groups of Chinese programmers and software, those in the US and those in China. That joke may soon feel a bit stale. A growing number of Chinese AI researchers and doctorate students in the US are seriously considering moving back to China, concerned about immigration restrictions. But yeah, I'm just seeing this news reported. This is from the information. All right, so gold coming back down. Let's watch 3800s. But yeah, Lululemon, the problem I have with Lululemon is this. I have a few different problems, and these are the arguments I've given for years. I'll talk about them again, I guess. But Lululemon, the issue for me is that it's a placebo effect, right? Like, if you tell everybody how comfortable your pants are and your shorts are, they're going to pay more attention to that comfort when they put them on. When they try the shorts on, they're going to be like, oh, it is comfortable. And boom, it's a placebo effect, right? When you wear similar shorts from other brands that are, you know, 50% less expensive, they're going to feel the same. And for most people, and I've always said this, like, I thought it was a little bit of a placebo effect. And this is coming from somebody where, like, I have family members that buy Lululemon regularly. But it's also the dynamic of what's fashionable. And I think what was fashionable over the last 5 years is now trending away from that. I think we had leisure wear after 2020 when everybody was stuck at home. Everybody wore, you know, yoga pants and, you know, athleisure is what they called it. Leisure wear. And now that dynamic is changing because we're moving farther away from it. And I don't like fashion companies in general because I have children. Kids don't want to wear the same thing their parents wear. You know, like, they generally want to wear different brands, different styles. And so Lululemon was making boatloads of money for a long time, but trends change. It didn't stick around long enough, I think, to help them succeed long term. But it's not even that they won't succeed long term. There's just risk. I'm not going to invest in it at $500 a share. We're back up to the 200 exponential, over 24,885s here. Nasdaq starting to bounce back. Oracle was really weak today. Nvidia dipped and is now rebounding back up, getting closer to 180s a share. Alibaba had some news this morning. All right, guys, we're heading towards the closing bell. Starting to rebound back up here. Let's do a poll already. Or not the closing bell, the opening bell. Yeah, Lulu's got a lot of competition, and you know, when you charge $90 for a little flimsy hat, people are not going to buy them as much. Marvell announces additional $5 billion stock repurchase authorization and $1 billion accelerated share repurchase program for Marvell. MRVL. Get Marvell shoot up here. So this news just came out. Up to $78 a share, 78. I think Bitcoin's interesting, but it's volatile. Back up a little bit today, though. Yeah, I don't care about brand either. I really don't. All right, look at this drop. We're dropping quickly again here. Hey, give me a follow on x.com at beginner trades. Look at this drop. Let me see if I can figure out what this is. Nvidia's coming down a little bit. Marvell is up on that share repurchase, that buyback. Yeah, it's just a big pullback all of a sudden. Back down to the bottom of the range. Gold spiking up to 20 or 38.03s here. Yeah, GDP unemployment tomorrow, 8:30. We're going to cover it. We're going to be day trading live at the bell today. Yeah, I don't know if this drop is anything major, but... VIX is a little low today, still down. Gold has pulled back some from its all-time highs, but it's getting pretty close still for gold. I've done way better trading gold too. Bank of England governor states there's some softening in the labor market. Consumers are cautious. Yeah, VIX is still pretty low. It's probably because markets are around highs, you know. VIX goes up when markets go down, mostly. I think 120 all-time highs are big levels for Bitcoin, but been kind of chopping sideways. United Health though at 350s. This looks weak. We rejected all the way up here. We got to climb all the way higher for the NASDAQ here. So I'm almost wanting to short this now. Might be a little too late. We'll try short. Take a couple contracts, maybe add a little bit on a bounce if we get it. Depends on how much we chop here though, I think. Add a little bit more here, get a little bit larger size. We're up a couple hundred on this account on the day. Lost a little bit yesterday though, so. Could get stuck in the chop here. Yeah. I'm not going to add more to this. I don't want to get too stuck in the chop. Take some off here. Oh, dude, I'm adding more to it. I just realized. Okay, that actually helped me a little bit. I'm going to cover. I'm back down now. gonna try to be patient. Now we're green on the rest. There we go. I took a piece off. There we go. Another piece off. See what gold does. I'm gonna try to sit on this, see if it breaks down more. There we go. There we go. Love to see it. Back down to the bottom of that range. I'm gonna cover if I can. There we go. We're out. We're green. Might miss out on some. I don't like low of the day shorts though. I'd rather just target the range down there to it. I'm a permable now. I think we won't get a big pullback. Why? So RTX found cybersecurity incident involving ransomware. It's been a minute since I looked at RTX. Great year though so far. Up huge this year. Started the year at 120s, is now at 160s. Very large percentage. You guys red or green so far today? Let me end this poll. We're gonna do a poll with the first 20 minutes after the bell. Be red or be bullish or bearish. Settled that poll out live. Not that long. If we're close to the bell, I'm usually like I'm up a few hundred today, mostly on gold though. If it's the NASDAQ, not very long. Like most of the time, if we get close to a level like this and then we have a big rejection, I don't mind shorting this and targeting the lows. Is what I just did. I don't like this because sometimes we'll go underneath this and then rebound back up, and so I don't necessarily like that type of move. I just want to target this low here because I think the closer we get to it, the more likely it is that we test it. So you got a little bit of edge there, but I'm in and out quick. PCE inflation comes out Friday at 8:30, and it's the biggest report of the week. Tomorrow we get jobless claims, unemployment, and GDP for quarter 2, third revision. So like finalized GDP for quarter 2 tomorrow at 8:30 as well. And we'll be streaming that live 8:30. Subscribe if you haven't yet. We appreciate it. Yeah, we got home sales at 10. Yep, we do have that in about 45 minutes. So we'll cover that. Job postings on Indeed fell 8% in the week ending September 12th. It's the second lowest level since February of 2021. They've now declined for 3 straight years. Postings on Indeed, that is. So, Kobesi Letter posted this. And, kind of see this here. Job postings on Indeed in the US. Here's 2021. So, more labor market cooling potentially. Looks like I got out right around the lows of this here, which is nice. We'll see if we can. Yeah, new home sales are a little bit more interesting in the context of everything going on. All right, 13 minutes, guys, until the opening bell. Nvidia climbing back up though. Let's see if it drives market. MU had earnings yesterday. It was red. The last time I looked at it, it's starting to climb up and go potentially green here for MU. A little bit over 10 minutes left here, chat. Looking at the poll that we done, let's take a look at it here. 61% are bullish for the first 20 minutes after the bell. Yeah, we got new home sales at 10 a.m. It's expected today at 650,000. Last time was 652K. 650. Last time was 652. Markets are quiet a little bit after Jerome Powell yesterday and the FOMC meeting last week. Kind of a hangover from it. Next week's going to be a little bit busier. We got stuff going on all next week. We got JOLTS, job opening report. We got non-farm payrolls, non-farm employment change data, manufacturing and services, ISM, which is the Institute of Supply Management, PMI. So next week's busier. But PCE this week is important. Like, don't get me wrong. But just every day next week we got something. And then after that, I believe we head into CPI. Might be the week after. Let me see. No, I think we got one more. CPI is usually between the 10th and the 15th of the month. It's usually on like the 12th. Yeah, a lot of Fed speakers this week. It's kind of Fed speak week. We had a couple this morning. Tomorrow we got Goolsby at 8:20. John Williams at 9. Jeff Schmidt at 9. Bowman at 10. Barr at 1. Lori Logan at 1:40. Harry Daly at 3. So tomorrow we actually have a bunch of Fed speakers. The ones that'll move the market the most, maybe Goolsby, John Williams maybe, but Bowman potentially. I don't know if any of them are going to move markets. Durable good orders drop tomorrow too, and so that might move things. All right, guys, 9 minutes until the opening bell. Brazil's Vice President Alckmin says good chemistry between the U.S. president and Brazilian president could prompt a solution on U.S. tariffs on Brazilian goods. That just came out. All right, we're testing these lows again. Look at MU turn. Video dipping down. This looks like microchip related drops. By the Russell over the NASDAQ. Is it the Russell at all-time highs too? Yep. All right, we're almost here for the opening bell. Yeah, MU went up a lot on earnings and then it corrected all the way back down. It's now red from its earnings report. Oh, you can see MU right here. Rejected right at the previous closing price, still red on the day. Open, OPE, and man, people have been talking about this one for months now, bro. Again, though, like, I'm not messing with it. It's too risky. It might go up big. I don't know. It's just too risky for me. It's just not my style. So, yeah, the problem with gold is that it can downtrend for decades, right? And so, I think, like, you can make money on gold most of the time on the upside if you're smart. But when it starts to break major key levels, you got to just be careful. Sorry, let's check in on opening bell is in 4.5 minutes. 4.5 minutes. MU just broke down a little bit. Look at Nvidia, went all the way up to 179.50 and then retraced a little bit on a 1 minute chart. Nasdaq still very sideways heading into the opening bell. MU still falling down though. The BT. Well, gold is one of the historical assets of the world, you know. All right, MU still falling. Nvidia climbing up though. Well, we'll see what the opening bell brings. Gold is around 3800s right now. 3824.60s is the all-time high that I'm showing. Micron's still moving a lot today. One of the stories for sure. I'm still in. Yeah, I usually wait 5 minutes after the bell to trade. We'll try, but I generally wait 5 minutes. Okay, we got new home sales at 10. We'll see what that looks like. The trend on the NASDAQ has been pretty bearish, and not super bearish. The market's been mostly flat, but it obviously is a downward trend.
this is going up today. We've not had 2 down days in a while. Yeah, but that doesn't mean it's not going to happen. Eventually, you are going to get 2 red days. All right, Nvidia's still edging a little higher though here. It's the bell. Hey, do me a favor, subscribe, guys. We appreciate it. We cover all the major economic news, 8:30 every day. Cover all the big news at 10, and that comes out. We got new home sales today. We appreciate the love, and yeah, help the growth. Everything's free. We don't charge for anything. We don't sell a course. Don't claim to be good traders even. We just kind of give people free data and teach people about stuff. So, top 3 least financial professionals in the world. But if you want to know what's going on in economics and markets, you can watch my channel pretty much every day. Yeah, Powell, the big quotes from Powell is he did say the markets were overvalued. His quotes were, sorry, here, I gotta find it. I had it earlier. Yeah, Powell essentially said he cautioned economic outlook is darkening and emphasized elevated equity valuations. He said equity prices were, quote, fairly highly valued, end quote, yesterday. He said the 25 basis point cut was cut as a risk management move, not necessarily a pivot to aggressive easing, which is the opposite of what he said last time. And so then we've had people like Bessent come out this morning saying, I don't know why Powell pivoted to this stance, which, you know, during the last Fed meeting last Wednesday, he was kind of the opposite. You know. I'm still rejecting here the 200 exponential, kind of flat into the opening bell in 30 seconds, guys. 30 seconds. Hit the live button next to the play button. Make sure you're fully caught up on stream. Yeah, I mean, we had almost 4,000 people watching Powell's on my channel yesterday. 4,000 concurrently. So people tune into Powell. They watch Powell. He moves markets, so gotta pay attention. All right, there's the opening bell. Nasdaq popped. MU fell. We went up to 24.9s right here. Looking at our poll, 66% are bullish for the opening bell, 34% are bearish. Microchips are turning down a little bit here. Apple turning a little bit too. All right, there's the drops. Look at this red. Oh. Just crack lows. Nice pawn. Looks good, man. Looks good. All right. Again, this is the opening bell volatility. Doesn't mean much. We're down, though, for sure. Since the opening bell. Apple turning a little bit. Microsoft actually moving up a little bit. Amazon's down some to the opening bell. And Micron originally reacted positively and then came and went negative from their earnings report yesterday evening, and now they're slightly red. Nvidia's starting to fall here. Yeah, it's too close to the bell for me to trade. But Apple's breaking down is what's driving this, I think, here. And Apple and Nvidia. Look at Apple. Apple just went red on the day. Apple's up a lot since the iPhone 17 release as well. You can see it just in the last 5 days. So if it continues to drop, it's probably going to... Apple's a heavily weighted stock too. So is Nvidia, of course, but Yeah, Bob is up big on AI cloud investment news. All right, this drop's getting a little bit more serious now. Should I buy in this dip? Small, very small, a little early for me. 1 micro is not going to hurt me too much here, and we're already up hundreds on the day. I might be able to add 1 more here. All right, we're in 2 now, but we're going to keep it here and cut it if it turns. Yeah, we're going to cut this. Too big of red showing up. I mean, we're still up over $150 on the day. That's a big drop, though. Maybe I'll pivot to gold. I usually do a little bit better in gold. My target position's actually moving up, too. All right, Apple's still looking red. All right, we did buy some gold in this account. What this one does. We already took 1 off. I could probably just hold the rest, but I will cut it close to break even if it pivots down. All right, we're out. Definitely a volatile open. We're 5 minutes into the day. Deep red. Okay, guys, we're back in gold here. Kind of locking it in. Basically right back to where we were. I'm gonna cut it right there. So we're up a few hundred on the day now. Let's see in gold. I'll put the NASDAQ back up here though. Target's flying up, that's nice. Yeah, I mean, we got some red. We gave back some of the gap down. Apple is kind of breaking down though. Apple's down to 253s. Microsoft dumping down here too, to be honest. Look at Apple. Nvidia's coming back though. Big drop in gold. NASDAQ crushing lower. We got new home sales in 20 minutes. See what that looks like. Gold's bouncing again. NASDAQ still consolidating right around these lows. Yeah, I got you. Alright, there's the next egg rebounding a little bit. Apple is just falling. I sound like short-lived. Fallen. Alibaba's pumping up because it had a cloud and AI investment news early this morning. NASDAQ with a pretty big retracement back down here. Okay. Yeah, we're now about 10 minutes into the day here. We do have new home sales. YOLO? I'm good. Yeah, it's definitely bearish so far since the bell. We had some people saying that we were going to go up, and maybe we do, but nothing's definitive. Nobody knows for sure. And I've said this once, I'll say it again. The more definitive you are in chat about short-term direction, the less I trust what anybody says. You know, you just got to be careful, be smart, and understand. Markets might do anything. Especially the opening bell, it's highly volatile. Most people skip it for that exact reason. Yeah, it's small so far. We're not really doing too much, but we're still red on, or we're still green on the day technically on the Nasdaq, but it's testing it now. Nasdaq is previous closing price on the NQ is right around 24,833. We're at 837s right now. 836s. So previous closing price is right here. And that's kind of what the market's bouncing off of. This this light blue line is the previous closing price on the NASDAQ. Got to stretch here, bro. I woke up within 10 minutes of waking up. I sit at this computer. So I got to stretch a little bit. Let's see if the NASDAQ rebounds. Starting to pop back up. We might rebound. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm not. Again, nothing's absolute. You might be right. I don't freaking. All right, NASDAQ going red on the day, technically. Not quite yet, still holding here. You can see the previous closing price and how much the market pays attention to it. Like, NQ previous close. And this is what the QQQ tracks, is the NASDAQ. And so, that level holding us up as for now is the red to green level right there. So we'll see if that continues to hold. We do have new home sales coming out in about 15 minutes. Put this up on screen. I think it's for 650K. There we go. Yeah, Marvell had news about a buyback. They're reacting pretty favorably. Where's Target? I'm green on Target on the day, but I'm green overall, but it gave back some of its gains. That's okay. Yeah, I mean, I tell this people every time, like, everybody's always like, ooh, the September slump, the September slump. It doesn't always happen, though, and you can't act like anything's absolute or a certainty, because nothing is. Nothing really is a certainty in this game. Like, the net effect of September is down like 0.7%, which means that on average it's negative, but it's not always negative. There's a difference between averages and always, you know. There's a difference between generally and outliers, and so there's always variance. Yeah, Riot's flying up to $20 today. Bitcoin's elevated on the days from 112 to 113. So. All right, NASDAQ went red for a little bit. Now it's back over this level green. Apple is, again, what Apple and Microsoft were really red at the open, but they're starting to rebound a little bit. Microsoft rebounding more than Apple. But as we say that, look at Nvidia turn to the downside here as well. Nvidia under 179s. Again, check out Top Step. Beautiful way to help support the channel. No PDT and futures. I've been day trading on Top Step today. You can day trade gold, the NASDAQ, the S&P, the Dow, Russell, commodities, cattle prices, micro Bitcoin, all this different stuff you can day trade in futures. No PDT rule. Patterns in equity futures are very similar to day trading stocks. No PDT rule though. You can get you around the PDT rule. It's $50 a month for the base one, $100 for the middle one a month. And there's a beautiful way to help support the channel. They give you a 50K demo, no PDT rule. If you can make 3K in profit on the demo without losing 2K first, following their rules and conditions, and you want to confirm it all with them, not an investment professional. But if you want to check it out, here's the link. If you pass it, 50K funded account, 90% split, similar to funding your own account in terms of split, $50 risk. So it's the best of both worlds. NASDAQ still holding, and again, remember, I'm sponsored by them. I am biased as I get paid by them. Not an investment professional, not liable if you lose. Here's the link. Check it out. Great way to help support the channel. NASDAQ going red on the day, but now it's back green. So we're kind of chopping here. Apple's breaking down. Nvidia fell a little bit over the last few minutes. you couldn't trade the SPY, NASDAQ, or gold, what would you trade? Oil? Maybe? Oil, probably. I'm assuming you mean I can't trade the ES, which is what the SPY tracks, which is the S&P 500 futures. But I would probably trade oil. Oil can move in a really predictable way, especially in terms of trend. Like, look at the oil trend this morning. Like, there's really clean trends for oil a lot of the time. You know? But everybody's different. All right, so we're now red on the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ is technically red on the day as we speak. S&P 500 is as well. We have a red day for most of these now. NASDAQ just cracked lows again. Yeah, we're in a little bit of gold here again. I've been trading gold much more. Small though. For a bounce. I'm gonna give it some time. I could probably hold this break even. There we go. Take half off immediately up there. Take the rest off up there. Got a beautiful spike in gold, up over 220 now on this one. Again, I do better trading gold, man. I really do think I do better trading gold. Tesla is ripping up. Tesla at 430s. But, I mean, at the same time, Tesla had dipped a lot yesterday. And so Tesla's kind of filling some of the gap up on that end. All right, gold's rising still. Let's take a look back at the NASDAQ here. NASDAQ still flushing down. Oh, Target's back up. I'm going to take another small piece off here. And then maybe sit on the rest long term for Target. It's a small enough position. So. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac price targets updated. Second offering set for later this year. Yeah, with lower rates, that makes sense. All right, 7 minutes until new home sales release. Tasty's not a good platform. I've never used it. But I like Tom Sosnoff because Tom Sosnoff is the founder and creator of TOS, believe it or not. The guy that founded Tasty Trade is the founder of, he's the one that created the TOS software, Thinkorswim. He eventually sold it to TD Ameritrade. I think it was for like 400 million or something crazy. And then he founded Tasty Trade, you know, and now he's doing that thing. But yeah, Sosnoff, hard dude. He wears a beret though, so I don't know if I trust him, but you know. Anyways, we're back up to 816s now on the NASDAQ. I've never used it, Corey, so I can't really say whether it's good or not. Look at that bounce at 85, bro. This 85 level has been a level for a minute. Look at that. Again, Amazon's starting to break down. Apple's been breaking down all morning. Nvidia's now red too, so we're seeing some tech retracements. I hate MetaTrader. MetaTrader. I freaking hate it. Feels like I'm trading in 2005. I do not like it at all. Yeah, a lot of tech is low. Mag 7 is lower mostly since the bell. Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, Google, Nvidia. Most of the Mag 7 is down right now. It's a subjective thing. Dylan says he loves it. Yeah, I mean, I get it. Everybody's different. I definitely don't love it though. All right, guys, we got 4 minutes left for new home sales data. We'll stick around and cover it. Remember, tomorrow, GDP data, guys. So remember, tomorrow, GDP data. When was the last GDP data release? Hold on. August 28th. All right, guys, new home sales drops in about 3 minutes. Three minutes. I don't think this is going to move markets, but I'm curious to see what the labor market looks like. Starting to rebound back up again. So the new home sales is expected at 200 and the jobs report is expected at 650,000 for new home sales. 650K is what's expected in 2 minutes, 1 minute, really. So 650K is what's expected. Last time was 652. We got about a minute left. Hit the live button next to the play button. Make sure you catch up to the stream. No, PC's coming out Friday. We got new home sales today. Apple rebounding back up. I don't think this is going to move markets. I'm going to cover it though, just to cover it. All right, 30 seconds. Hit the live button next to the play button. You'll catch up. And here comes the report. Be ready. Again, I don't think it's going to move markets. NASDAQ rebounding a little bit, though. 10 seconds. 10 seconds. 650,000 is what's expected today. Yeah, Powell said some things people didn't like yesterday, but here's the report. Again, 650K is what's expected. And here's the report. New home sales, 800,000. New home sales, 800,000. Versus 650 expected, up 20.5% month over month. 800,000 new home sales just showed up. It's not really going to move markets, but that's a big number. Big number. 800,000 versus 650. $800,000 versus 650K expected, previous of 652. 20.5%. That's a big increase. I don't think it's really going to affect markets. $800,000. What a number. Yeah, I'm going to get out of here. Y'all be safe. Again, have a great day. Tomorrow, as soon as we close this stream, guys, it's going to immediately pivot you to the GDP and jobless claims stream tomorrow. Update on labor market. Update on GDP for quarter 2. A big report. Be ready. I'll see you guys tomorrow, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. Again, as soon as I close the stream, it's going to bring you there. I'm just joking for liability reasons, but I expect you to sit there and wait. No bathroom breaks, no music. Focus until tomorrow at your computer. I'll see you guys later. Y'all be good. Have a great day. Check out Top Step. You want to help support the channel. No PDT rule in futures. Beautiful way to learn. Learn without the burn. Check out Top Step. They now do their back to funding option, which lets you reset funded accounts. 0 commission on Top Step X. No PDT in futures. Beautiful way to learn. And yeah, I'll put the link up one more time. They're a sponsor of mine, but genuinely useful. Check it out. I'll see you guys later. Again, I'm going to close the stream down now. I'll see you guys